Hi, this is a tensometer. You'll be using this to take tensile measurements from your tensile bars. The ASTM for this test is D638M, and the common name for it is Tensile Properties of Pla. This is a German machine, so all the measurements you'll be using from this point on will be in the metric system. Okay, now we're going to talk about your safety and your material requirements. So for safety, there's not too much to worry about with this machine, but besides that, you'll need to wear your safety glasses and your lab coat. For your materials list, you're going to need your tensile bars that you molded last year, and you're also going to need a metric dial caliper. Okay, so now for turning on the machine. In the back, you're going to see two plugs. One's going to be gray and one's going to be black. You're going to plug them both into this outlet. And if someone has used this machine before you, make sure to unplug it and plug it back in, because if you don't, all the data that they just took is going to be mixed in with your own. Okay, so now that you have the machine plugged in, you're going to have to actually turn it on. You're going to have to turn this dial, and then this is the emergency stop. So if it's pushed in, it's not going to work. So you have to make sure you pull it out. But if you do happen to accidentally bump it, just by turning the machine off and then turning it back on, we'll make sure it'll run. Okay, now you're going to start entering in your data. This parameter key will help you navigate through these so you can put in what you need to put in. This first dimension that you're going to put in is your first dimension. It is the thickness of your tensile bar. Okay, to measure the thickness, you're going to use your dial caliper and you're going to need your tensile bar. You're going to make sure that you measure this thickness right here in the middle. So, you put it in here. So this is exactly 3 millimeters in thickness. Now to type this in, you're just going to use this keypad. Right here, you know that it's in millimeters, so you can just start typing. So since it was exactly 3, you just type in 0.00, and then that's it. This next measurement is going to be the width of your tensile bar. To measure this, you're also going to use your dial caliper, but this time it's going to be this measurement. So this is exactly 6.72 millimeters. Okay, so now that you have this measurement, you're going to make sure that this flashing dot is next to the B, and then type in 6.72. So this next value is going to be the length of your tensile bar. In order to do this, you're going to have to load it into the machine. Okay, so in order to put the tensile bars into the clamps, you're going to have to push the clamp down and set it inside. You're going to do this on the bottom and on the top. Now when you're taking the length measurement, you have to be careful because the length isn't necessarily the length of the tensile bar. It's the length that from this knot to this knot here. So you're going to take your dial caliper, use the outside, and measure from here to here. This is going to give you your length value. So when you're typing in this data, my measurement was 75.72 millimeters, and then you're going to go on to the next value. Now for the rest of your data, you don't actually have to measure it. Make sure you check with your instructor just so you get the right data to put in. I'm going to be using the data for my class. Yours might be a little different. So for the F sub V, we're going to be using 10 newtons. For the delta F, we'll be using 65 newtons. And then for the dimensions, we'll be using 2. And then for the form, we'll be using 222. Now we're going to be entering in the data on the other side of the keypad. I'm going to be using my data, but make sure you check with your instructor just to see if it's the same or if it could be different. Your first variable, V1, is the straightening speed. For me, I'm going to type in 50. For your second variable, that's going to be the breaking speed. I'm also going to type in 50. And for your third variable, this is going to be the return speed, and I'm going to type in 1,000. Now that you have in all your variables, you're going to have to just pretty much tell the machine how you want to break this tensile bar. For this first one, just make sure it's on the top so it's actually pulling apart. For the second one, you're going to make sure that it's on the top dot. This is going to make sure that it's pulling up and not pushing down. If you push this and you see over here, this is down. Push it again, it's going up. This is just another way for you to make sure that you're actually going to be testing correctly. And the second one is it's going to tell it what happens when it breaks. If you want it to stop, push it up here, but if you want it to return like we do, you're going to make sure it's on the bottom light. Okay, so because this tensile machine is going to print all of your data, you have to make sure that it's actually in English. This is a German machine, so if you don't do anything, it's just going to print in German. So in order to change the language into English, you're going to hit mode, 7, which is the language key, 2, which is English, and hit mode again. Okay, so now you need to type in the date that you did this test. You're going to hit mode, and then 4, which is the date key, and then type in the month, day, and year. Okay, so next we need to make sure that the machine doesn't stop at just 10 newtons. So you're going to hit mode, 11, and then mode again. Okay, so now we need to make sure that the machine is going to print your header. So you're going to hit mode, and then 0, and over here you're going to see it start printing. Okay. And after that, you're going to have to make sure that the machine prints and records all of your data that you just put in over here and over here. So in order to do that, you're going to hit mode, and then display. Now for each one of your samples, you're going to have to repeat this step that I'm going to show you. You're going to have to hit mode and parameter. This is going to print all the data that you just put in. If you don't do this, it won't print. Okay, so now before you can even start the test, you're going to have to make sure the machine is 0 to 0 newtons. So by doing this, you're going to use this knob up here. This. Okay. Come on. Now you might not be able to get it exactly at 0, but being pretty close is still okay. Okay, so now that you have everything done over here, you're going to actually start the test, and you're just going to do this by hitting the screen button. Okay, so now for the rest of your samples, the only things that you're going to need to change are the first 3 values right here. Okay, so after your very last sample, you're going to have to print the averages. You're going to do this by hitting mode, stat, and then it'll print. Okay, when you're done testing, make sure you take out your data from this sheet up here and unplug and turn off the machine. When you're done with everything, talk to your instructor about any calculations that you may need to do.